Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Burning Hands Football. It is week 6, and this week we have a sponsor by Cat Dog University. So much thanks to Cat Dog University. So we're gonna start with some trades that have been going on in the league, and it starts with you, Hinty, basically unloading your team, punting the season, and giving all your good players to Chris Gregg. So you want to
Yeah.
go over a little bit of that? Holy crap!
So started off 0 and 5, and basically at that point, looking at a complete miracle if I was to even like make a push for the playoffs. So just highly unlikely. We had a debate about keepers and how we were going to go forward with that, and I figured not going to win this year. The goal of the league is to win, and so I'm just selling my season. I got Bateman and Judy out of it, who I think are both potential keepers, depending on how their seasons play out. And then I just took all of Greg's picks for next season. And if we move forward with the current rule of can only keep keepers for 2 years, that we were debating, Chris Gregg wanted to win now since he wouldn't have Darren Waller or Murray as keepers. So he's selling out this season to try and make a push for the championship.
Interesting. First, third, and fourth, and then also,
Yeah, later on traded for Stephon Diggs and gave up his second. So his
yeah.
first pick
So
will be in the fifth round.
yeah, that's good. I don't like it makes Greg's team obviously really good, but I don't think it's like oh he's gonna definitely win. Uh,
No, I
it's a
don't think
really
that.
cool roster, but
Yeah, it's a fun roster. It's a really cool roster, but I don't think it's a roster that is guaranteed a championship by any means.
hmm
Especially whenever you look at Herrera's team, Cat Dog University, uh, having Henry and Hunt, who have had amazing seasons, and then great wide receivers with Hill, Jefferson, and DJ Moore.
yeah, he's got the better Vikings wide receiver too. But you never know with fantasy football, crazy stuff happens.
Yeah,
And one thing I want to do a shout out to was Nick P's team, 3-2, despite
yeah.
losing his top two running backs. Pretty impressive. All right. So there weren't like anything crazy when it comes to pickups. Is there anything you really wanted to point out? Everyone went for Daryl Williams, it looks like, but
Um, Let me scroll down here to the pickups from yesterday. Yeah, I don't think there was anything too crazy. Um, I was kind of shocked that. Oh my bad, that was a different league. Sorry. Never mind. But Devontae Booker for just like $1, I thought was pretty interesting. Just like how low things were this week, I think were my most interesting things to kind of take away.
one thing I'm gonna investigate. Somehow Carlos Strange beat out Chris Smart with the same money. Carlos Strange
Uh,
is like 4-1.
that
Or
go it doesn't. It's not based on record. It's based on who made the last waiver transaction.
oh, lame. 5-0 team and a 1-4 team. But we'll whatever. Oh, because Chris Smart got Daryl Williams. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Someone dropped Young Ho Koo. Ooh. All right, Chris Smart. All right, so let's get started. I'm gonna shrink us a little bit, and we're gonna go on top of the screen, and we're gonna start. Let's start with my game against Stein. This is a pretty cool game. Stein 5-0, man. I feel like he's been squeaking out. Oh no, we have to go back to last week.
Yeah, last week, real quick. You went 5-1, and I went 3-3. You got the snowball game, and you had Chris Smart over Kuzi, and those are the big differences between us right there. And
Yeah, and I think I picked myself wrong. Pretty pissed off I didn't win, but
yeah,
the Strange goes to 5-0. Heartbreaker for you against Cat Dog. And then, jeez, Rob Matz didn't have a bad week.
no, but
Just Nick P.
pick
Yeah.
wise, that puts us at I'm at 19-11, and you're at 16-14. You're slowly coming back and trying to take the
Hell yeah.
lead.
All right, looks like Stein may have just adjusted his rosters while we are doing this because he just pushed up the points, I think. But okay, so let's go through that game. I just picked up Burrow, and now he's got Lamar Jackson, who like literally is on fire, can't be stopped. Ruined my night.
Ravens have just turned into a passing team. I think with losing Edwards and Dobbins, they were just like, let's just try and run, throw the ball since we can't run.
Yeah, and I think the Colts did really well last year against Lamar, and then they looked like they were doing really well until it happened. But yes, continue.
That was just, I mean, that was a crazy game in terms of like fantasy output to basically everyone. Like,
Okay, what strikes you from our matchup? Well, it looks like I'm gonna be He has Ridley still on the lineup, so it looks like I'm gonna be big underdog.
so, oh, okay. I was on the wrong matchup. Give me 1 second. Um, there you go. Right team. I mean, I like your pickup of Burrow. I think that's a great start right there. I think Burrow against Detroit can have a great game. Also, Knox is having an incredible season. I did not realize you were the one who had him in our league.
Yeah.
He's just having a great season. I think Sutton's going to go off this week for you. I mean, Mike Williams. I don't know. I think you have a pretty solid chance here, especially if Cook doesn't play and you get to play Madison. I think that'll be huge. But you can also play, I guess, Chris Carson's against Pittsburgh. It's not a great matchup off your bench, even if he can play. I'm leaning towards Stein, mostly because Gibson against Kansas City, and Kansas City's been giving up points constantly this year. Najee Harris has had a great season, and I can't believe Jamar Chase is doing as well as he is, but he is. And I would imagine, I don't know who he actually will play off his bench. He might have to, oh no, he could probably play Jamal Williams. He's had a pretty good season so far. So I kind of subbed in for Ridley, who's really underperformed this season.
Yeah. I think if I'm him, I'm finally cutting bait with Lindsey and picking somebody up. But yeah, he's got a weird team, and it's all sort of worked out. A lot of rookies. I'm hoping Jamar Chase just finally doesn't have a huge game, and maybe I have a chance then. But
Yeah.
Hawkinson could go off. I think Harris is gonna have a big week. Gibson had a slow start to the season, and now he's like finally really like getting his
Picking it
touchdowns
up.
and picking up. I have Madison in just as like a safety
I
net
mean,
because I'm not
if
crazy about Carson or Collins, and I don't know who if anyone's healthy. So we'll see about that.
also that game's against Pittsburgh, and even though Pittsburgh has been a bit of a train wreck, their run defense is still pretty solid.
Yeah, and then my other running back. Whoops, my other running back's Edmonds, and honestly, 10 is for him. I feel like he's gonna have a bigger game than that, just because I feel like Connor might be the guy that loses his touches because it's gonna be like stay away from that front seven, and just throw some like
Yeah.
out passes to him. But yeah, he was due for a lower game after he went off the week before, but
Well, he
now he
was a
should
bit
rebound
dinged
a
up.
bit.
We got dinged up in that game, so
Uh, so maybe that's something. But yeah, my team is now we're hitting the buys. So Kamara, not having Kamara is a
yeah.
huge deal for me. I am like considering Johnson or Parker, but I can't get excited about the Pittsburgh offense, and I can't get excited about the Miami offense. So it's a little
I
tough,
mean,
but look at that
I think you got to
production.
buy into Deontay at this point. He's been having a pretty solid year.
Yeah, he's
But
number
I
20
mean,
with missing one game.
yeah.
Jeez.
But I mean, you look at your wide receivers, it's not like Terry McLaurin against Kansas City or Mike Williams against Baltimore or Cortland Sutton against Vegas. None of those are bad options. So, I mean,
Yeah, and right now I'm in like just the sell Vegas mode, so anything like against Vegas, I'm pretty much gonna take after the Gruden firing. So I think
Yeah.
that team might be a bit of a train wreck, but you never know. Sometimes they like bounce back and they're like, we're gonna win one. But
I mean, also if you look at like Sutton's games, like he's been pretty solid. Like week one, he didn't really do anything, but that was because Judy was going off. Jackson really played. The Jets, they were up after like the first two drives in that game and just stopped throwing.
yeah,
And Baltimore was Drew Lock. So I mean,
yeah.
if
And
Teddy's
Baltimore's got a
healthy, I
good
think they're pretty
secondary.
solid.
Yeah. I think he garnered so many targets in like games where they had to throw, where it's like
Yeah.
I didn't play him last week because he was like questionable on Saturday. I was like, oh man, Denver's gonna get rolled on, and I think they did get rolled on, but he played well. Um, all right, moment of truth. I'm going with Stein.
Yep, I'm going with Stein as well.
All right. Damn. I hope I rebound, but we'll see. All right, now we got our sponsor versus our number one fan. So this is really tough to choose between
Yeah.
Alex and Kuzi here.
I
But
think there's a conflict of interest here.
yeah, what strikes you?
Um, Derrick Henry has had a pretty solid sketch. Like he's been amazing this year, but he does play Buffalo this week, so that'll be interesting to see what if Henry keeps up his just absolutely just dominating everything this year, um, or if he gets slowed down a little bit this week. Um, but I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that DJ Moore, Tyreek Hill, and Jefferson are all going to have phenomenal games. Higbee's going to have a great game. Like he's pretty set outside of that, so it'll be like that's a pretty tough team to beat. I will say I don't like James Robinson, but James Robinson against Miami and him still getting a very large workload right now. Um, like obviously it dipped down last week because Hyde got some touches and was back in there, but Miami has been just letting people run all over them, which is kind of shocking because their defense was so good last year. But I think James Robinson could have a great game. Swift against Cincinnati is a good setup. I mean, I like. I think Kuzi has a good chance at making this a lot more interesting than I would think. And I would also assume that he's probably going to try and find a way to put Booker in his lineup, or not Booker, Cooks in his lineup, probably in for Booker, because I mean Booker
Yeah.
will get the work, but it's against the Rams, and we don't know if Daniel Jones is going to be the starter. And at that point, that offense is just going to be a train wreck against a really good defense, and they'll probably be passing a lot, and it won't be going to Booker probably.
Yeah, that was the first thing that struck to me. I was like, if he plays Booker, I don't know about that, just because they're gonna be down big early. I don't think Daniel Jones is playing. He got knocked out,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be a rout. So, and I think Indianapolis is gonna beat up on Texans too. I mean, they're 1-4 right now. They need a win. The Colts, and they're really not that bad for that record. But everyone knew sort of coming into the year that the Colts had that brutal schedule. Robinson versus Miami, yeah. Whew. I like that matchup. I think we'll keep it close.
Yeah.
The one thing with Henry is like the one bad game he's had was that Arizona game because they went down big and they couldn't block, and that could happen again against Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo's a great
Yeah.
defense, and they could get down early. I've seen a lot of people trying to pick Buffalo this week. I mean, fade Buffalo this week because they think it's like, oh, they came off a big win against Kansas City. Maybe they won't come in, but I don't know. This team sort of feels like they're on a mission.
Mm-hmm.
And like the one thing I was actually talking with Herrera about the Arizona Cardinals defense versus Cleveland, and he was like talking about potentially like moving from that, but the Browns are like beat up. Like half their team is like on like basically like the
Oh yeah.
mend. So like that's the one thing that like this game could go really Arizona's way if Cleveland is just completely like injury bug stricken because they got beat up against the Chargers, and I think they probably would beat the Chargers if they had a full team because that game was
I think
awesome. But
if he wanted to, I mean, he does have the Washington defense on his team. He could easily drop them. Um, and then at that point, like Washington's, I don't know what happened to that team, but they just forgot how to play defense this year. Like I,
Yeah,
but
and you hope that they come back, but I mean, maybe you play them against Denver, but before until then, Carolina, 'cause you're not playing against Tampa Bay, you're not playing against Green Bay, you're not playing against Kansas City. So at that point,
yeah,
it's just like, why even bother? Um, yeah, but defenses are slim pickings this week, so we'll see how that goes. I don't think the Dallas defense is going to be great against New England. They don't really turn the ball over, and I think New England's going to keep it a little bit closer than
yeah.
most people think.
Mac Jones has looked pretty solid. So,
He does what they ask him to do. He's boring to watch, but
oh yeah, I agree with
um,
that.
so who are you leaning towards for this game? This is pretty
I mean, I
tough.
have to go with our sponsor, Cat Dog University. So,
Yeah. Well, I'll side with the number one fan if hopefully he switches out Booker for Cooks. I think that could be a huge difference.
yeah, I mean, Cooks had the down week, but it was against New England, and Belichick really knows how to take like the most productive offensive player and just
Yeah.
sideline them.
And Bills was just kind of thrown around the field for a while to like random receivers like Conley. So hopefully that happens against Indianapolis. And he doesn't have that great of a secondary. I mean, he just got completely like embarrassed by Lamar Jackson. And not that Lamar Jackson's a bad passer, but they got destroyed. All right, I'm gonna go with the number one fan here. All right, I think it'll be close. Fun game. All right. I think we're okay. So we both picked Stein, and then we split here. All right, so we're gonna go with Lestrange versus Snowballs, and this is a tough one. Ooh man, Snowball doesn't have anyone on the bench, and he's still that's a low big margin. What strikes you here?
Um, I mean, just looking at it, it'll be interesting to see what Metcalf is without Wilson. In that game, he like Gino did hyper target Metcalf after he left. Granted, they really didn't do much in terms of targeting, but like Metcalf was his guy to go to.
Yeah,
So that'll be interesting. Joe Nixon's going to have a great game against Detroit. Um, I'm looking at Snowball's team over here, and it just looks rough.
McCaffrey is going like highly likely to play. That's one thing I will
Yeah,
say.
if McCaffrey plays, like that's going to be a great benefit. Um, I think you can also switch back to probably running Buffalo this week against Tennessee. So I mean, at that point, like Buffalo's had an granted. Lestrange has Tampa Bay against Philly, so
Yeah.
uh, I mean, I think at like your main positions, I think like Snowball kind of keep up, but once you get into like your flex and your RB2, it really leans towards Lestrange's team. So
Yeah. I don't think it's like definitely the Strange is gonna win, but I think Fournette like go off Thursday night against Philly. I mean, Chuba Hubbard did really well against Philly, and Fournette just looks good, man. Um, I mean, he
Fournette's
went
been doing
against
pretty well this year.
yeah, he can't catch, but he's really good against
No, he
run.
cannot.
And hopefully Jacobs can finally like, get a touchdown, but we'll see. He's gonna have to swap out. Cobb. I don't think Cobb will be in. I think he'll have McCaffrey in. So that's like a 15-point swing. So it's gonna
Yeah,
be like
that
a
is a
lot.
pretty big swing.
Gonna be a lot closer than it seems. The one thing that just like Pat Mahomes versus Washington, just yeah, coming off a
Yeah,
loss. Probably gonna be like 30 points. Eckler's on fire. His team's just absurd. And hope basically you have to pray that Godwin doesn't get any touchdowns. But I feel like Godwin has been like a little bit quiet. Yeah. In terms of touchdowns, like I feel like he's mixing. It's just so many good running backs and just really good team. I guess the weak point of his team is tight end, but I mean
yeah.
Henry's Henry's getting that Mac Jones Henry connection. I think.
It'll be
Uh,
interesting to see if like what and like if that continues or not. Um, I mean, Dallas is a very like you can get a lot of points on Dallas, so it'll be interesting to see if it continues. But
yeah. And then, but I mean, the one thing, hopefully, Mark Andrews goes off, and there's that huge disparity. That's really like what I would say is big. And then just having Ruggs in there, I'm not crazy about. Honestly, like I'd probably even think about maybe like I think he has Rondale Moore on the bench, and like
Yeah,
it's been a while.
I think I'd go with Rondale Moore. He did. He actually his snap count went down this, or I guess it didn't. I thought it went down. Um, but his routes run went up significantly. So I think that you're looking at kind of a transition of him becoming more involved. Um, and he's just so damn athletic. Like if he can take one to the house, like then you're set. I know it's the
Yeah,
same way with Ruggs, but Ruggs isn't going to catch like a 5 yard slant and take that to the house. Like he needs to be hit like 40 yards downfield, where Moore can just be hit on like a 5 yard slant and take that.
yeah, and I think just matchup wise, I think Denver's really good. And I'm just selling Vegas at this point, and then
Yeah.
Arizona versus Cleveland. If Cleveland is like a pretty good defense, yes, they got destroyed by the Chargers, but I still think they're pretty good defense. And Arizona's going to spread the ball around. They're not going to just be able to throw it to DeAndre the whole time. I feel like this is like a good spot for Moore. But also like
I mean,
Allen Robinson isn't bad either. I take Allen Robinson even before Ruggs. I mean, eventually this has got to start happening, and they're going to be losing to Green Bay. They're not going to just run the ball and play
I would
defense.
I would play Moore 100% over Ruggs. I'm not sure if I would go all the way down. If I would go to Allen Robinson, like yes, I know it's Allen Robinson and like that name brings something, but he has been not targeted like at all this year, and he's going to have the Jamie Alexander treatment.
Yeah. That's tough. And then I wouldn't touch Sanders. Sanders like got chewed out at the end of the last game for not going out of bounds. Something just seems up with Sanders, and like I don't know that offense. They don't run the ball. It's like what the hell are you do? Or just goes to Jalen Hurts. The Eagles. I feel like they
Their
looked
run
great
game
week one.
is Hurts.
Yeah, it's strange. Because I feel like Sanders isn't that bad. It's just like 2 carries, 7 carries. And then he ran pretty well against Panthers. So I mean, it's
I
weird.
think part of it is I just think the new coach that came in, Miles Sanders probably didn't take the game of rock paper scissors too serious, and now he's just not getting touches.
Yeah, probably. Sirianni's a weird guy. I don't know how long that's gonna last. Congrats on the victory, but all right. Who are you picking for this?
I'm going to go with Lestrange. I don't think that Snowball's team is going to pull it out.
I'm gonna be on the same side. I think Lestrange's team is just absurd. So talent will win out. I think. All right. Same side for that. We split on game two. We're gonna go to the McDonald's versus the Russell Wilson's broken finger, and yeah, he's getting Stafforded. So what strikes you from this?
Um, that this is a great matchup of two of the bottom teams. They're down there with me. Um, but we got a Diggsless Chris Smart's team. But I mean, his team's pretty solid still. I don't love Robbie Anderson in the flex because I just don't like Robbie Anderson. I would actually probably play Tony Pollard or Michael, or yeah, I guess Michael Carter's out this week. Yeah, I'd probably go with Tony Pollard over that. That's just me.
Yeah.
Um, but Beasley's always like any receiver for Buffalo is a great option, is like a decent option. You got Damian Harris coming back. He grabbed Williams. I think his team's actually like I know it's brutal, but his team still got a good shot. And Zach Ertz is the only tight end there, and Philadelphia tight ends are great whenever they're by themselves. So
Yeah, and Goddard had like a horrible drop last week for a touchdown. So I think Ertz is getting back in the thing. And then when I see Pollard, I feel like Pollard is like a great thing because I think
he
Zeke's on the other
is,
side because you got Zeke on the other team, and if Pollard does win out, at least that gives you a big push against Matt's, you know. Um,
yeah.
and it's New England, so they're probably gonna like prioritize stopping Elliott and try to get Pollard. If you get Pollard out like in the pass game, maybe you can make some big plays. Robbie Anderson, I think I'm not sure if I mentioned this on the podcast, but I think Robbie Anderson is just like was not happy about getting Darnold on his team because it looked like right off the bat they didn't really have that much of a connection that you'd expect, and
Yeah.
they were not happy with each other yesterday. I mean, not yesterday, Sunday, but yeah, I feel like it's not a terrible idea to start Robbie Anderson just because at some point it's got to work out. I mean, he's
I'm not
gotten
sure
a
if
lot
it
of targets the
does,
last 2 weeks, and he had like a
but those
big.
targets are with CMC. And we were talking CMC's back this week. I think those
That's
targets
true.
drop back down to 3, 6, and 2.
Yeah.
Like,
The thing is, I just don't know. Like, he had a wide open touchdown last week. Well, not wide open, but like a pretty clear touchdown. And Darnold just kind of threw it towards the defender, and the defender made a big play. It would have been like a 60-yard touchdown. So it's not like they're not trying to get the ball to him. But again, I'd probably still be looking at like the waiver wire for someone because I feel like there's got to be someone that's a little bit more like Van Jefferson and Christian Kirk. Like I'd rather
yeah,
have both of those guys. Um, Especially because you have Stafford and you stack that. And Van
yeah,
Jefferson's just definitely he's basically Robbie Anderson, but he's actually getting the big plays,
yeah,
and it's a better offense. And then Kirk's sort of the same way. I'm surprised Kirk's on the block, or
yeah.
yeah, that's surprising. But we're going back to that. I like this
Uh,
matchup though; it's kind of fun.
yeah. For Rob Matz, I think if he makes a few changes, I'm actually going to go with him. I don't know how he doesn't have Hollywood in. Like, Hollywood has been absolutely destroying this year. I'm not sure if Matz has played him a single time.
No, yeah, we've been saying it every week too.
Um, but if Matz puts in him over Odell or Marvin Jones, um, like probably over Odell.
I
It
would
sounds
say
weird.
I'd say Marvin Jones at this point. Uh, he got two big
True.
touchdowns the first 2 weeks, and he's got not a lot. They're going to London this week.
That is true. I mean, either way, like you got to put Hollywood in your lineup over either one of those guys. And if he does that, I really think that he'll end up winning.
Yeah, if I were him, honestly, I'd put Brown and Jones in over Odell and the other Jones, Marvin Jones.
Yeah.
Because Julio versus Buffalo, they're probably gonna be down. They're probably gonna be throwing the ball as long as Julio's healthy. It's a toss
Also,
up, but I still feel like you got to believe in Julio.
Mats has to change his defense. Like Kansas City's defense is not good. It's very, very bad.
Yeah. Well, maybe versus Washington, it might actually work out. Because Heineke is basically like Fitzpatrick. He's been learning from behind Fitzpatrick, and he's learning his ways. But I think the bigger issue is Mark Ingram. Um, in one big week, honestly, like Hines. Uh,
Yeah, Hines is a better play
and I
if
like
like he's healthy.
is Marlon Mack on because Marlon Mack had like crazy. Now he's not up. But even like Brandon Bolden from New England, because Harris
Yeah,
keeps
Brandon
freaking
Bolden would be better. Um,
almost anyone, even on his bench. Gainwell,
yeah, put Gainwell in. Gainwell will probably have a fantastic week this week because they're playing Tampa Bay, so they're not going to run the ball at all, which I mean they don't anyways. And all the targets go to Gainwell
yeah, they'll
for the
dump
running back
passes.
position. So
Yeah,
play Gainwell this week over Ingram. Like if he
yeah,
puts if he puts in Hines or Gainwell this week over Ingram, and then he gets Hollywood just in his lineup, I'm going with him.
yeah. And the Colts have a pretty good like they didn't totally shut down the Ravens run game, but they did really well with the Ravens run game. I really wouldn't be crazy about going Houston for literally anything at this point. It seems
Yeah.
like they are finally trending the way that they've been competitive, but they're trending the way that we thought they would be. So what are your thoughts on who's going to win this one?
I'm going with Matt's because I'm expecting him to make these changes, and I think that he'll end up winning.
I'm gonna go with Smart. Smart's gonna go on a 2-game win streak. This is a big week for Smart. So many players on bye. If he can pull out a win, 2-4, it's not bad at all. You can still make a run for the playoffs. All right, nice that we're split, and now we've got Beats and the cream of the crop, Nick P. All right. What does C mean? COVID. Okay. What do you like? What do you dislike from this?
Um, as always, it's hard. It's very difficult to look at Nick P's running backs, but you got to get over that because he's still somehow finding ways to win. I think he'll probably put Robert Woods in after the big game, which was a crazy. Like that sucks that he probably had Robert Woods on his bench last week for like the first like big week of Robert Woods.
Yeah.
But
Devontae Adams made up for it though.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Having Adams and Kelsey on your team, it really sets you up for like a great run. Like any week, especially with like he just has so many boom players on his team.
Yeah, and Josh Allen.
Yeah. Like Josh Allen, Kelsey, and Adams are all extreme boom players and could win. He also has the Rams defense who's playing the Giants, and we already discussed how they might be without Jones, and that could go downhill real fast.
Yeah.
But and then on Tony Beats' side, we have the same lineup as always.
He moved out. He put in Gordon.
Oh yeah, he did. He has Melvin Gordon in. Sorry, I missed that.
But he's gonna have to put in David Johnson again, I think. For Clyde.
No, he could put in.
Oh no, Taylor.
Yeah,
puts in Taylor. Okay.
Yeah, he can take Clyde out, put Taylor down there, and then move Michael Pittman in, who is phenomenal.
Yeah, I love his receivers are dope. He probably, and then he could potentially. I don't think Gronk's gonna play. They were saying, oh, he's questionable, but Thursday night, no one's gonna play. Thursday night coming off a big injury.
Gronk will probably be out, which means he needs to make a change at tight end because Goddard is on COVID list and won't be playing.
Yeah, he's on Thursday, so he's definitely not playing. I'm assuming that means P. Ryan's not vaccinated because of. I mean, maybe P. Ryan can come back and we don't have to worry about Nick P's other running back. But
well, P. Ryan tested positive for COVID, so it's a little bit long. Like it's not like he was a close contact. She tested positive.
So he's still got to find something. But even like Michelle, like not the other world, but I kind of, I think he really needs to play Woods just so you have that backwards Cup action. So like if Cup sucks and Woods does it, it sort of goes your way. It can go the other way, but I don't think like this is going to be a definite Nick P win.
No, I don't think it is either. But I'm gonna ride the hot hand with Nick P, and I'm gonna go with him.
I'm gonna put my faith in Tony Beats picking up a tight end that scores a touchdown, and Cup gets most of the touches, and yeah, maybe Melvin Gordon goes off for a big one. But I just love those receivers, Cooper and whatchamacallit Stack, and then plus he's gonna have Pittman in, and I think hopefully Pittman becomes like Wentz's favorite target, and Wentz doesn't get hurt, and Beats stays alive. All right, so we'll split that. So Nick P and then Tony Beats for me, and then now we got you playing the team that you sold your team to, so they can beat you down and embarrass your ass. You got Tony. Okay.
Yeah, I actually played Tony last week for his breakout game.
Nice.
I think I love Tony. I think that he's going to end up being something, even though I did not think that at draft time. But I'm not giving up on my team yet. Aaron Jones can always go off. Like, it is going to be absolutely brutal for me to try and win this week. But if Cook doesn't play again, which there's a chance he doesn't, we don't know yet. that'll be pretty solid for me. Um, Carolina's defense is solid. Hold on, I can't. Okay. Um, there you go. If AJ Brown can get back to what he was, and Tim Patrick is always a solid play. I don't think my team is going to absolutely shit the bed, and I think Heineke is going to be a surprising point scorer this week for me. They haven't projected for 18, but Kansas City's defense sucks. Like
Yeah.
it is impressively bad.
Heineke just seems like a garbage time. He's going to rack up tons of garbage time touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean there was I saw a stat for first downs given up by the Kansas City defense, and it's like on like whatever the first down like marker is per pass play, it is the exact same percentage that Pat Mahomes has. So if
Oh
you're
my
playing a
God.
quarterback against Kansas City, you're basically getting a Mahomes for the week.
A Mahomes production week.
Yeah, because their defense just can't do anything right now.
Yeah. Like I don't think you don't have a chance. It's just his team's just got crazy point. Like even if one guy doesn't go off, basically we gotta hope for is Cook's out. Thielen has a bad game. Conklin steals his touchdowns. Like you're just gonna have to thieve your way, and then hopefully,
Oh yeah,
you're hoping like Denver just blows the doors off Las Vegas, which is possible, and that could happen, and that sort of helps you out there. And also one thing, I'm not crazy about Pittsburgh's defense, to be honest. Like there's something about teams that like whenever their backup quarterback plays for the first game after like their starter gets hurt, they always like seem to shell out and play well. And Gino's not like garbage, you know. Like
yeah.
he's a pretty
Gino's
good
not
backup.
bad, but I mean, you put like the receivers there are pretty great with Metcalf and Lockett. So I think you still like it wouldn't surprise me if Gino goes out there and just puts up a game against Pittsburgh, and especially with like Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh offense is so bad, and like if anything happened to Big Ben, like it's gonna go 10 times worse, and then you're putting Seattle in great field position constantly.
Yeah, that's Sunday night's. I hope it's a good game, but I'm not sure. Uh, weird game, but like, I, it's not out of the question that you could win this. But I'm not gonna side with your side. You know.
Oh no, I'm not gonna side with my side either. I think you'd have to be a complete idiot to do that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm gonna put up. I think I'm gonna put up a week that if Chris Gregg actually has a dud week, I think my team can win. But I just don't see his team putting up a dud week because at every position he has a player that can go off and just
Yeah, save your week basically.
yeah.
I think you'll at least get 100. I'd be surprised if you're at the 93 that they're putting you at.
Yeah, I don't think I'll get that 93. Part of that is the fact that I feel like they're underestimating Tim Patrick
Yeah, I agree. He has
what
like
he does.
super good catch percentage.
Yeah. Um, and then I'm not sure what to do at tight end, but Conklin might be the answer. And if Conklin can steal some of Thielen's touchdowns, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, Thielen only had, I think he had like a really bad week. His two catches were all on that last drive to get the field goal. So he was not really targeted last week. So and I think Carolina versus Minnesota, Kirk Cousins just seems like they lost two games. They could come in and cause some turnovers and get like a big week this week. But I think we're both on the Greg side, I'd assume.
Before we stop, I have a question for you. Do you drop Tyson Williams yet? Because I am struggling with that.
I'm giving it one more week, and then I'm probably gonna drop him.
All right. Because like
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. I'm looking at like I was looking at the waivers and I'm like, Bolden's out there. That'd be like a startable asset at this point where like I can like you cannot play Williams right now with like He went from like 50% of the snaps to a healthy scratch and then 19% of the snaps. And like 9 carries combined in the last 3 games. Granted, one was a healthy scratch, but like still, it drives me nuts because you watch the games with him in it, and he's the best running back on that team.
Yeah, it's weird. It depends on your team. Like if you have like good depth, you keep him. But if you're desperate, you can only do so much. But like one thing, I saw Marlon Max still on the waiver wire, and he had a huge game. He only got 5 carries, but he almost averaged 10 yards a carry. And then I like McNichols from Tennessee. Like
I like McNichols also.
if anything happens to Henry,
But
like
Henry, yeah,
it's him, and he's playing well.
yeah, he's good. So
And it's just like how long are they going to give him 30 carries a game? But it's like ridiculous. So anything else you want to bring up? Tyson Williams,
uh,
yeah, it's tough.
I think that's it. Uh, I will say on the trade that I made, I know we're gonna have a future keepers discussion. Um, and I think that my trade basically set me up in a pretty good position if we stick with the current keeper rules. But if we switch to uh, different keeper rules that would allow you to keep like first round pick players, I'm pretty much screwed.
Yeah, that I basically I'm gonna make it like a text in the thing where it's gonna say basically like at least for now we'll make a vote during the playoffs, but at least for now, definitely set in stone. What we're gonna do is it's -2 your first keep of a player, so it's -2 whatever round you took them, and then the next year it's gonna be -4 and then -8, and we can make decisions based on that like after, but like just doing -1 every year is fucking stupid. Um, because basically you draft or you pick up, Justin Jefferson. I'm not even sure if he got drafted, and then you get to take him from 8 for the next 7 years.
He was
So
drafted late by Chris Gregg, and Chris dropped him last year, and then Alex picked him up.
yeah, and why would you like and like we might throw around some ideas of like there should be a difference between picking someone up and like actually drafting them and keeping them the whole time. Because if you draft them and keep them the whole time, there should be some sort of like better reward. Whether it's if you free agent pick them, maybe that like instead of 8, it's 5 or something like that. Like there's some penalty. Whereas like if you drafted them, you could do -2 from like you drafted them in the 10th round, you do -2 and then -4 and then -8. But we could talk about that. But there will be like some sort of grandfather thing, like because people didn't know. But it's going to be a little more case by case basis because I'm really not vibing with this fucking. Basically,
It,
everyone who has ridiculous keepers is dominating the league, and it's like,
yeah,
I guess that's
like
sort of nice, but we don't want
we
complete domination.
we kind of touched on it, but not really. Like that trade that I made with Chris Gregg and the one of him picking up Diggs, I would actually still argue that I would rather have Herrera's team right now.
Yeah, we were talking this before we started recording. Like that doesn't the trade like the thing is like if he's going to trade away all his picks next year, like usually I'm not for punting the season and making those trades, but it's not a reset game. Like he's losing everything too.
Yeah,
Like I don't know. I if he doesn't win, I mean,
yeah, he's
who?
all in. It's this year or next year, or regardless, next year is going to be absolutely brutal.
Yeah, the Diggs one too. So he doesn't have a second. He's drafting in the 5th round.
Yeah,
Um,
fifth round. He does have quite a few like eighth and ninth round picks right now, but he drafts fifth, sixth, and I think he traded away a seventh for Henderson earlier this year. So
yeah, I mean he's not going to get a running back. So um, that's literally what he's going to have to trade ninth round picks for like Chase Edmonds or something.
yeah,
All right. So anything else?
no.
All right, let's call it a day. We'll see you guys in week 7 when the buys get legit.